Hello YouTubers! I hope you are feeling well while you're watching this video. I have a fantastic subject to cover today that is often overlooked when diagnosing a patient. Today's video is called Protracted Gestation Signs and Symptoms Match Candida Overgrowth Signs and Symptoms. Something very important to note right now is that the major signs and symptoms of an extended gestational pregnancy directly relate to the signs and symptoms of Candida Overgrowth syndrome. Exactly. Almost verbatim. So if you've brought your realistic and critical mind, you are in the right place because I've got some great information to go over with you in this video. So let's get started. Do you ever experience any of these health issues? Like exhaustion, achy muscles, slow-growing abdominal region, sore hips, back, and thighs, intense cravings for sweets, brain fog, hormonal imbalance, bad breath, white coat on tongue, joint pain, loose-filling joints, loss of sex drive, chronic sinus and allergy issues, digestive problems, weak immune system, frequent trips to the bathroom, UTI, itchy skin, anxiety, OCD, irritability, uncontrollable emotions? Research from Rice University shows that 70% of all people are affected by Candida as systematic fungal infection. According to the molecular biologist at Rice University, Candida is common in humans and is often found in colonies in their intestines, mouth, and on their skin. Candida albicans is the most common type of yeast infection found in the mouth, intestinal tract, and vagina, and it may affect skin and other mucous membranes. If the immune system is functioning optimally, this type of yeast infection is rarely serious. However, if the immune system is not functioning properly, the Candida infection can migrate to other areas of the body, including the blood and membranes around the heart or brain, which can be pretty serious. Candida is a fungus that aids with nutrient absorption and digestion when in proper levels in the body. When it overproduces, the typical Candida symptoms may appear. In the digestive tract, left unchecked, it can break down the walls of the intestinal lining and penetrate into the bloodstream. This releases byproduct toxins and other toxins from your system, causing leaky gut syndrome, which directly negatively impacts the integrity of the immune system, making you more likely to repeat infection and possible introduction of new disease-causing organisms. When your body's natural pH balance is upset due to toxin overload, dehydration, overstimulation, stress, alignment issues, and sluggish lymph system, the Candida can grow out of control, creating a systemic problem. Good healthy bacteria and a properly functioning immune system are essential when fighting the stubborn infection. Candida Overgrowth Syndrome, or COS, is the term used when Candida has grown out of control in your body. Make no mistake, this is a chronic health condition. Individuals that have ever experienced a serious yeast infection can find that they have developed new sensitivities, allergies, or intolerance to a variety of foods. These foods include dairy, eggs, corn, and gluten. So a lot of people who have gluten intolerance could just have Candida Overgrowth Syndrome. What are the causes? The number one cause of Candida Overgrowth Syndrome is broad-spectrum antibiotics. Basically, anyone who has ever taken antibiotics in their lifetime has either had yeast overgrowth at one point in time or has had it for decades, depending on the person's age, medical history, and immune system function. Number 2, birth control. It seems to instigate the reaction to yeast overgrowth. 3, oral corticosteroids, which can cause thrush, which is the white film on the tongue. Number 4 is cancer treatments, which is a direct cause, and the development of overgrowth can complicate treatment and negatively impact quality of life. Number 5 is diabetes, which is a direct cause, and the development complicates keeping blood sugars leveled, further compromising quality of life. Number 6 is a weakened immune system, which is a direct cause. The overgrowth makes it easier to get other infections or become infected with an intestinal parasite. And number 7, which is the biggest one and frequently overlooked, which is poor digestion. If you are not going frequently, or you feel like your food is simply sitting inside of you like dead weight instead of moving through you like a well-oiled machine, then you may fall under the poor digestion category. We've already gone over this in the beginning, but some major signs and symptoms are chronic fatigue, mood disorders, reoccurring vaginal and urinary tract infections, oral thrush, which is the white film on the tongue, sinus infections, reoccurring or constant runny nose or itchy nose, intestinal distress, brain fog, skin and nail fungal infections, hormonal imbalance, itching, red eyes, skin rashes everywhere on the body like eczema, rashes inside of the ears or around the growing area, anal or vaginal itching, hair loss and vision problems, abdominal pain, bloating and indigestion, joint pain with arthritis-like symptoms, chronic sinus drainage, which antibiotics don't help and in fact make worse, weight loss or gain and the inability to change it. There are several different methods for ridding your body entirely of Candida, and I highly suggest you research the best method for yourself individually, but I will cover an overview of several of them that I've put together. This is the steps. This is by Dr. Axe. It says the first step is the Candida cleanse. And then the second is the Candida diet. So you will have to change the diet you consume in order to get rid of the overgrowth. And then the third is supplements, essential oils, and coconut oil. Then we will cover CandidaSupport.org, and this has options, videos, and step-by-step instructions on how to get rid of your Candida for good. And then we have CandidaSymptoms.net. This is Candida treatments and cures, and it has a ton of information available, including a Candida book. And this is just a few of them. There are tons and tons of information explaining how to rid your body of Candida and how to prevent reinfection. So some of my favorite supplements that personally helped me battle my overgrowth were GSE, which is grapefruit seed extract. And this can be found, you can order this online or any health food store carries this. The grapefruit seed extract is great to have in the house. You can give it to your infants, you can give it to your pets. It is completely natural and it kills, off the top of my memory, I believe it's like over 800 different kinds of bacteria, fungus, viruses, and parasites, I believe, but that's off the top of my head. If you can go ahead and research this for yourself, it's just grapefruit seed extract, and you can find information on it anywhere online. Also, what else also helped me were high potency probiotics that I took every single day: spirulina, alfalfa, red raspberry leaf, red clover, nettle leaf, and milk thistle. So I also don't want to forget to mention the die-off symptoms. Yeast overgrowth infections always get worse before they get better. I personally experienced die-off symptoms off and on for 6 months after changing my diet and actively killing the yeast. My infection was pretty substantial and it was everywhere. I had yeast overgrowth in my bowels, bladder, vagina, nose, throat, milk ducts in my breast, and my nipples due to breastfeeding. So depending on my days, physical level, emotional level, and what I ate determined how much yeast I killed that day. I took it slowly because I am still breastfeeding and I didn't want all those toxins to go into my breast milk and then affect my milk quality. Also, because I was breastfeeding my son, and I still am, he developed a small case of overgrowth, but it only lasted a month and a half. Essential oils cleared that up right away. So that is why I personally experienced die-off symptoms for off and on for 6 months while actively killing off yeast, because I set it up that way. I didn't want to compromise my milk. Rapidly killing off Candida in your body creates a metabolic reaction that releases over 70 different types of toxins into your body. Symptoms that show the Candida cleanse and the Candida diet are working include impaired brain function, headache, fatigue, dizziness, intestinal distress, sweating and fever, sinus infection, skin breakouts not limited to the face, typical flu-like symptoms. When you start experiencing Candida die-off symptoms, you should rejoice. These symptoms mean that the Candida and the yeast overgrowth are dying. And these symptoms usually clear up within 7 to 10 days if you are actively following the diet and killing off the yeast consistently. However, some cannot handle these adverse reactions and often stop with the diet and cleanse because they start to feel worse. Don't do that. Continue to fight the infection. Continue to fight the overgrowth, even if you do start to feel really, really bad. I will give you some pointers now on what can help with the die-off symptoms. Making sure that you're drinking plenty of water, at least 64 ounces a day, to help move your bowels and rid your body of these die-off toxins. So drinking more water can help with the die-off symptoms. Deep breathing helps to rid the body of toxins. So just deep breathing itself can help get those toxins out. Hot and cold alternating showers help the lymph system move, also aiding in the pushing out of these disgusting disease-causing toxins. Also, I highly suggest that you take precautions such as activated charcoal, acai berry, pomegranate, and blueberries to help your body push the toxins out. The Candida is leaving your body, and within just a few weeks, you will notice an increase in energy and focus, as well as relief from other symptoms you have been experiencing. However, some infestations may take a little longer, like I have emphasized earlier. It all depends on how active you are in killing the yeast. After your symptoms have subsided and you have completed the cleanse and the diet, you should evaluate how you have been feeling in the diet you have been consuming. It is important to remember that if you go back to your old diet, your digestive system will become sluggish again, overburdened, and the Candida could return. Research extensively the benefits of a whole food plant-based lifestyle and continue eating a diet that is high in plant protein, high fiber vegetables, grains, fruits, legumes, nuts, and berries. Sorry about the noise. Continue to consume probiotics, fermented vegetables, and kefir to help your body stay in balance and keep the Candida at bay. Take stress management or begin a new hobby just for you. Prioritize your life and put the things that are most important to you at the top of the list. So I wanted to go ahead and cover from a Cryptic pregnancy website. I wanted to go ahead and put the signs and symptoms of a cryptic pregnancy or an extended gestational pregnancy side by side with the signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth. All right, so let's do an overview, a side by side here of the signs and symptoms of a standard pregnancy that correspond with signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome. The first one of a standard pregnancy would be nausea and vomiting. Sign and symptom for Candida overgrowth, nausea and vomiting. Sign and symptom of a standard pregnancy, fatigue. Sign and symptom of Candida overgrowth, chronic fatigue or exhaustion. Sign and symptom of a standard pregnancy, frequent urination. Sign and symptom of Candida overgrowth, frequent trips to the bathroom or UTIs. Sign and symptom of a standard pregnancy, food aversion. Sign and symptom of Candida overgrowth syndrome, food aversion. Sign and symptom of a standard pregnancy, weight gain. Sign and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome, weight loss or weight gain in the inability to change it. Signs and symptoms of a standard pregnancy is heartburn. Signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth are bloating, indigestion. Signs and symptoms of a standard pregnancy are back pain. Signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome are achy muscles, joint pain, sore hips, back and thighs, or loose feeling joints. Signs and symptoms of a standard pregnancy include metallic taste in mouth. Signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome are bad breath or white coat on tongue. Signs and symptoms of a standard pregnancy: abdominal cramping or round ligament pain. Signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome are digestive problems, gas and bloating, or slow growing abdominal region, abdominal pain. Signs and symptoms of a standard pregnancy: headaches. Signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome: intense headaches. So now I want to briefly cover from the Cryptic Pregnancy website signs and symptoms that are specific to a cryptic pregnancy or extended gestational pregnancy, and then compare those to the signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome. So the first one on the Cryptic Pregnancy website is: the pregnancy symptoms may come and go. You may not feel pregnant all of the time. Frequently during the periods, the pregnancy symptoms will subside. As soon as the period is over, the symptoms will begin again. This is a very strong sign of a cryptic pregnancy, especially during those first few months. So now I want to address the yeast overgrowth symptoms may come and go. You may not feel like you have yeast overgrowth all of the time. During your periods, the yeast overgrowth symptoms may subside. As soon as your period is over, the symptoms will begin again. This is a very strong sign you have yeast overgrowth. So let's go back to the Cryptic Pregnancy website, and one of the signs and symptoms exclusive to an extended gestational pregnancy is early labor signs that occur off and on for weeks or even months. Slow growth of the abdomen or pregnant belly. Now let's go ahead and look at yeast overgrowth. Early signs and symptoms of labor are the same as the signs and symptoms as yeast overgrowth, such as feelings of cramps and increased back pain, diarrhea, exhaustion, vaginal discharge. Passing a mucus plug is a sign and symptom of yeast overgrowth. Intestinal contractions can also be confused with uterine contractions. Nausea or vomiting, aching muscles, aching bones, and back. Labor are also all signs and symptoms for early labor that correspond to the signs and symptoms of yeast overgrowth. And a slow growth of the abdomen or pregnant belly can be attributed to intestinal inflammation of yeast overgrowth. It also can be constipation, fecal impaction, or intestinal parasites. All four of these conditions cause the slow growth of the abdomen. And last but not least, abdomen may also take a B shape if the fetus lays along the back inside and pushes the organs forward, often seen with the retroverted uterus. This is not true. A pregnant belly never takes a B shape, and this is most definitely a sign of hormonal imbalance, most certainly caused by yeast overgrowth or nutrient deficiency caused by a different pathology of another origin. So now that we've covered that, the major signs and symptoms of an extended gestational pregnancy or protracted gestation directly relate to the signs and symptoms of Candida overgrowth syndrome. Anybody who has ever had an infection of any kind and received antibiotics as treatment has an overgrowth of this organism. Some might not show any noticeable signs and symptoms and live their life normally, while others have every symptom under the sun. Some might go years without ever knowing that they have this syndrome until one day their body just becomes overtaken, and then symptom after symptom starts to appear. Because the knowledge about this epidemic is so limited in the public and the medical field, most will not realize what the true cause is and attribute the symptoms to a totally different disease. Which is unfortunate because yeast overgrowth can be taken care of so easily. So if you look at Candida overgrowth syndrome, or if you think that you have it, it is important to read up on how the syndrome begins, grows, flourishes, and how to kill it. Your doctor can order a swab sample of your mouth, vagina, or nose. They can also do blood work, stool tests, and urine tests. But the best diagnosis comes from a good, solid history of symptoms. There are a few ways to diagnose yourself at home, and I will link the website in the description of this video. I hope this helps someone and gives more answers to the symptoms that you are experiencing. If you have any questions or want some personal advice on my journey to ridding my body of the overgrowth, please leave them in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Have fun and be well. Bye.